Good evening, gentlemen. As you can see, my cleanup is going just as fast as the rest of my projects. uh, so, however, it seems that after going to the spinal surgeon to find out about my neck problems, they're going to put me in neck traction for physical therapy. So, I get to hang some shit from the ceiling and put it around my neck and sit here with my head getting pulled on by a weight, um, which which may be how that guy from Kung Fu died. Although I think that the reason he was doing that was for reasons other than physical therapy. Anyway, I digress. I was just delving back into the D&D remake project here after speaking with Steve Segrito on the YouTubes about some interesting artifacts in the teleporter code. It's very refreshing to know that there's someone else out there in this world who is obsessed with this, who is as obsessed with this shitty old game as I am. So I was going to make a video about this evening, but I need to do a little bit more reverse engineering work. I have all the dungeon features figured out and documented from the VMS Basics source code, but um, some of the monster and combat code I haven't finished figuring out what all of the different variables do. See, I guess he does. He did. I guess Dan did this to save memory. It probably saves memory, but it definitely saves memory. I'm sure. You don't have to have as much shit in the symbol table, I guess. But instead of using like discrete variables for like the X location of the player, the Y location of the player, the dungeon level that the player is on, he creates a great big array, and then just uses entries in this array to store data about the dungeon and what the next subroutine is that needs to be called, when you're like going through treasure piles and shit like that. And I assume the reason for that was to save memory on this PDP-10 system that this was originally written on. But it sure makes it difficult as hell to figure out what's going on, because the commenting is, I mean, there are comments that say, like, oh, here's the code for a throne, but then none of the rest of it is explained. So I've been going through this slowly, very, very slowly, over the past while, and making a spreadsheet that details what each of the entries in all of these different arrays do. There are several of them. There's a C array that tracks the character, as well as certain elements of the dungeon in relation to the player. There's an M array that tracks the monsters. There's an I array that I don't know what the hell is, and some other stuff. So the C array, the character data is all documented correctly as far as I know, but the rest of it is still kind of sketchy. So I'm going to work on that tonight, since I got rained out hauling that manure. Speaking of which, I thought it was hilarious, that whole dumb joke about nihilism versus a big pile of shit. But, I mean, I must have slapped my knee for at least 5 seconds about that. But none of you guys seem to care. I'm very sad. I thought it was the funniest thing that I'd thought for, weeks. Maybe I have a peculiar sense of humor. Alright, anyway, I'm going to get to work on this. So, soon, very soon, gentlemen, we'll get back to this D&D thing. And, I also have some stuff to talk about the Z80 Funtime project. I've been trying to figure out exactly what route we want to take on that. There's a complicated but totally fucking awesome route, that involves like asynchronous bus protocols and sharing the bus with a 68K CPU, which I got a couple of really cheap on eBay when they showed up. See, the Model 2, the TRS-80 Model 2, the way that it shares the Z80 and the 68K, or that whole series, I guess the 16 was the first one that had the 68K in it. But the way that they have both of the CPUs in the system and run a variant of Unix is very interesting to me. But they weren't really on the same bus, which I think is a missed opportunity for designing a very interesting bus. And the 68K series already supports an asynchronous bus. I mean, that's the default way that they work. But I think it would be really interesting. See, in the Model 16 and later, the 68K series, the 68K CPU had its own RAM. That didn't go through the backplane bus. The RAM was connected through these ribbon cables on top of the cards. It was fucked up. But then the Z80 did all of the I/O processing. It was the thing that actually accessed all of the peripherals, and it and the 68K talked to each other through a shared memory segment. I can't remember if it was part of the Z80 RAM that was shared with the 68K, or if it was part of the 68K RAM that was shared with the Z80. I think it was the latter, but I don't remember for sure off the top of my head. I'd have to look at the technical manual again. It's been several months since I've farted around with that thing. But anyway, I think it would be really interesting to interface a Z80 to an asynchronous bus and just let them both access the same RAM all the time. And it wouldn't be symmetric multiprocessing, but it would be very interesting nonetheless. And with a design like that for the Z80 Funtime project, it would be perfectly workable in the future to like add a 6502 or a 8086 to it just for shits and giggles. You know what I'm saying? They could all share the same bus. Every CPU card would have a little bit of its own synchronous RAM on board that could be banked in or out of its memory map, and then the rest of the memory, like the main memory, would be accessed through the asynchronous bus. And it would have various 8 or 16 or possibly even 32-bit, but probably just 8 or 16 because that would be fewer traces on the backplane and fewer smaller connectors on the backplane. So they could all access the memory and peripherals, and then there'd have to be some way to. Yeah, anyway, I've got this thought in my head, and I've scribbled a bunch of shit down about it, but we'll talk about that in another video. I'm digressing into Vomitus Maximus as usual. Anyway, gentlemen, I am going to fart around with this lovely old game, the source code for it, for the rest of the evening, and hopefully I will talk to you soon and be able to share some fascinating shite. Fascinating to me at least. And help you guys fall asleep. Alright, bye.